Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back, or welcome for the first time to Amy Reads by A. I am Amy, and today I'm doing something I have never done on BookTube before. A book review. A whole video dedicated to one book review. This is chaos for me. If you are new to my channel, you will quickly learn I am not very eloquent when it comes to trying to review and get my thoughts and plot points out about a book. Which is kind of hard to believe since I'm on BookTube. So let's just dive right in. The book that I am reviewing today is Any Man by Amber Tamblyn. Any Man is an adult fiction book that is told from several different perspectives through several different means of writing, and it blew my mind. I've never read a book like this. I've never read a book that is so beautifully written about something that is so terrible and then still manages to throw in elements of humor, like laugh out loud humor. And it packs it all into about 280 pages. So, I'm sorry, less than that. 269 pages. Any Man follows 6 different perspectives as we come to learn they have all been victims of sexual abuse. They are all men, and they've all been victimized by a woman. One woman whose identity is unknown. They just know her online alias is Maud. The book starts with poetry, and then it moves on to a whole lot of social media aspects. Their storytelling in its normal format, of course, but it just, you know, our first victim is kind of a can't hack it poet. He writes through poetry a lot. He expresses himself in a very creative way. Then we go on to the second guy who uses the internet and social media a lot, which is how he came in contact with the rapist. Another guy is a social media guru, personality. Nobody's really connected except for through Maud, through the rapist. And nobody's assaulted in quite the same way, so it's a lot of just dealing with. It tackles how sexual assault does not really fit into a box. It can be any number of things, and ultimately how you feel you were treated and if you feel like you were sexually assaulted, which is very important. And one of my favorite things that Amber Tamblyn did about this is she kind of flipped the norm, which is women being sexually assaulted, and she turned it into men being sexually assaulted, because that happens so much. And, you know, society has kind of built men up to be this thing where they can't show weakness and admit defeat, and it tackles that and how these different men have dealt with, do I come forward and talk about it? Do I keep it to myself? What is my reputation like now? Because I was broken down to nothing. And she does it in a way that you still feel like it could have happened to you, like you were the victim. And as a woman, that's like kind of crazy to be sitting in a man's shoes. So one of the chapters actually discusses how poorly news outlets and the media handle events, and how they take it and they turn it into a source of entertainment rather than, this is someone's life that was destroyed. So it's there is this one scene where they like say this joke and then they all laugh about it and it becomes a hashtag. So you've turned this man's, and we see this all the time in today's society, you've turned this man's trauma into a fucking hashtag. So it goes through that, and I thought that was, you know, just great, because this happens all the time. So after that, we have a whole chapter of tweets using that hashtag. And some are just hilarious because some are like, oh god, that would actually happen. So I'm just gonna read a couple. This one is from Daniel Tosh. Did anyone watch Melissa Hope's show tonight? Hashtag mauled to penetrate is a stroke of genius. A consensual, non-violent stroke. So, you know, Tosh just crossing lines and making jokes that aren't always funny sometimes. Moment of silence for victims of hashtag mauled to penetrate tonight at my MSG show. I am here and will fight for you. You are not alone. Be strong. Lady Gaga. Kanye West. Yo, dudes cannot get raped. Trust. Not possible. Someone is lying. Hashtag hate mauled to penetrate debate. And it's told in chronological order, so you can see, it's almost like playing a game of telephone on Twitter, how other people come in and have hot takes and then it molds into something new, and some of them are hilarious, but it's also just like horrifying. It's such a horrifying look at how we as a society in 2018 handle these things. Here's a good one. From the Westboro Baptist Church. We will be protesting outside Brown University today, where Senator Donald Ellis will be speaking out about sexual assault. Donald Ellis is one of the victims in the book. So now he's become a sinner in the eyes of Westboro Baptist, which of course, yeah. Donald J. Trump. Don't worry, we are working with the greatest to catch monster mauled. Disgusting. America has the most amazing experts. Right? Yeah, so there's just several pages of tweets and showing how social media twists and turns into something completely different, and it's, yeah. So there's this one really good quote that I wanted to share also about how as a society we kind of perpetuate what happens, and it's almost like we take it and turn it from something that's horrible and kind of mollify it and like give it life. We like fuel horrible acts because it turns people into these notorious, you know, icons almost. So I just want to read this. So one of the victims goes on to have a radio show on Sirius XM that they help find predators. It's kind of like we all band together and we tell our stories and then we try to solve these injustices for ourselves. It's not vigilante style, it's not like violent, but it's a community where they help each other out. So one of the other victims came on and he spoke, and then a woman called in and had this to say. Hearing Mr. Sands just made me really think about how I contribute, in both the negative and positive sense of the word. I realize that more than ever we need to keep fighting and protecting our kids, not just from predators, but also from a society and culture that feels kind of predatory, you know? I mean, that lady did the crimes, but we publicized it. We capitalized on it. We exploited it for ratings or whatever, for stories with our memes and GIFs and tweeting and all that. We jump on the train. We show their pictures on live TV. We make clever hashtags. We find ways to like absolve ourselves from responsibility or say we've helped out with a retweet or something. We've helped because we've mentioned an injustice in passing to our neighbor and we both got to shake our heads. We've helped because we painted a sign. Like, I look at my boys and I think, what if this had happened to them? Or worse, what if any of them had done this to someone? And it made me realize that my job as a mother is never done. I must always teach them how to treat women, even as grown men. This is how I can contribute. That's how I can really help. And it's true. We think, like and share sends one prayer or things like that. And we just perpetuate this need to feel involved and feel like we're making a difference when really we aren't doing a damn thing but letting that person sit back and smile at how much publicity they're getting. And so there's one more piece that I want to share. And as you can tell, this is definitely my first book review video because I'm all over the place and we're rolling with it. It's fine. There was an article that the first victim wrote. Like I said, with the first victim, he really went on to be an activist in the community and work hard. So he wrote an invocation, and when you're reading it, you don't, at least as a woman, I forgot that it was a man writing it because it feels so personal. And that is something that Amber Tamlyn did such a good job at, is like making it very, very clear that this happens to men too, and men feel like this too, and men are stripped of their identity and their self-worth and everything, the same as women when this happens to women. And it really could happen to anyone, and ultimately everyone will feel the same after this happens to them. Many times I have asked myself what I could have done to protect myself that night. I asked myself if I had deserved this. I convinced myself that I did, and it wasn't hard to do. I live in a country built on celebritizing its citizens' grief and amplifying stories of violence and assault for political gain, click counts, or television ratings. Let me be empathetically clear. They don't care about us. People who live through sexual assault are a crash on the side of the road, and the American media is nothing more than cars slowing down just long enough to take a peek. Just long enough to take a picture before speeding off to their next fatality. We are a country that capitalizes on the fetishizing of felonies. A country that says innocent until proven guilty, even though the proving of assault is nearly impossible. Tell me, how do you prove coercion? How do you prove the difference between being hit on and hunted? How do you prove your arms were held down, your body was touched, your life was threatened, if you ever told anybody? For people who have suffered violent sexual crimes, proof, the very act of proving, is more than just a burden. It is a boundless bearing, an eternity of futility. If that doesn't hit home, then I don't know what will. I loved this book. The ending was shudder-inducing. The whole book made me feel sick to my stomach. It's uneasy, it's uncomfortable, but ultimately it's so important for this to be out there and be read. And I'm so happy that Amber Tamlyn took the risk that she took, wrote from all of these different perspectives, and wrote beautifully and made it into a 5-star read, and easily one of my top 5 reads of the year, and probably on my most important books of all time. So wow. I got through it. I got through my first video review. It is For Any Man by Amber Tamlyn. Please consider picking this book up. Please consider that if you pick this book up, there is a huge potential for trigger warnings for sexual assault, sexual abuse, victim shaming, slut shaming, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, self-harm. Am I missing anything? Alcoholism. I think I covered them all. Oh, pedophilia, as I mentioned earlier. I think I covered them all. Amber Tamlyn, Any Man. If you like this chaotic review and you would like to see more, please let me know in the comments. This was a big undertaking for me as a person who knows I cannot really form sentences well. So, if you liked it, like, comment, and subscribe. Have you read this book? Did you feel remotely close to how I felt about this book? It seems like it's overwhelmingly positive. I did read some really bad reviews and I was like internally screaming because I don't know how anyone couldn't find this book, at the very least, important. That aside, that's all I've got for today. All my social media is down below. Please, let's talk about this book if you have read it. That is all. I will see you later. Bye!